cruising. All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for being here today. If I could just tell you what happens behind the scenes, you would just laugh. So I'm just gonna, and I'm laughing now. Okay, so just for those of you who've been patiently waiting, thank you so much. We're here with our good friends Joe and the Ryan Hunt. So we're just gonna get into it.
Oh boy, here we go. Here we
I
go.
love, I love that we're on here, the three of us together.
Well,
Thank you again,
I
Annette.
feel pretty lucky though, Joe, because I'm not usually on the veteran lifestyle uh, podcast, even though I'm one of the co-founders of it. So I'm pretty excited to actually be a guest, even if I am a backfill to a reschedule. I'm still pretty excited to actually be having a conversation with both of you, even though I talk to you guys like 50 times a day.
At least 50 times. So
That's okay though. That's okay. What's cool is that it's not normally we would probably come on here and like be ourselves and talk and joke and stuff, but there's actually a really cool thing that I knew Ryan was working towards, but we didn't know when it was going to happen. And this is actually super cool because I've always been a huge fan of Bunker Labs. I was a veteran in residency back in the 2019 cohort, and we had some hiccups thanks to, like everyone else, the pandemic. But to see these two organizations actually come together, and then I'm gonna let Ryan talk about them. But I've always been a fan of
No,
both.
it's true. I'm really excited too. I went through just like you. I went through the Bunker Labs Veterans in Residency program here in Chicago, which is where I'm at right now, and I am very excited that the Institute for Veterans and Military Families absorbed, took over Bunker Labs as one of its programs, and just excited to actually be to be part of the first real cohort that's going through this this program, this opportunity to give back to the veteran community in really a meaningful way, add some value. You know me, that's really what our mission is here. Obviously with stuff like Veteran Social Summit, that this is really a space that I love to be in, the give back space, the mentorship space.
For the again, because I also was a cohort of Bunker Labs, I was very familiar with a lot of the Bunker Labs stuff. I hadn't. And what's funny is we've been friends a while, and you were actually on the IVMF track of their entrepreneurship, and I actually was over here doing Bunker Lab stuff. And now both organizations are together. But for those who don't know about them, what is the new mission of IVMF Bunker Labs together? Like, what are they?
Yeah,
What are some of the things for those who don't know? Because there's some great opportunities and resources.
well, in a nutshell, it's much like Veteran Social Summit. The mission really is from my viewpoint, from my foxhole, is to really unite, to grow, and to elevate the veteran community. So we want to be able to, and I'm not speaking for the Institute for Veterans and Military Families, but I believe what they want to accomplish is really amplifying the veteran message, building that veteran community, and providing just amazing resources to the veteran community. And concerning Bunker Labs, and in terms of being a Bunker Lab ambassador, what is my task? Really, I've been missioned for 1 year volunteering voluntolding. No, I wasn't voluntold. I did volunteer, much like the other 50 plus Bunker Lab ambassadors spread across our nation. The main thing that we're doing this year, which is going to be a little bit different than before, where the Bunker Lab ambassadors were really focused on the veterans in residency, which still exists, but more of an online format, is it's an opportunity to develop our leadership. It's an opportunity to grow the community here locally and also nationally, and we do that through meaningful ecosystem leadership projects. So those projects are here to getting the ecosystem of Chicago established, for example, and trying to pull all those great resources that are here locally, and maybe even providing some new opportunities through new partnerships to the veteran entrepreneur community as a whole. And those are done, locally in those different areas. For example, Chicago or Atlanta or Austin or Houston are the various other locations where we have Bunker Labs ambassadors. And of course, you can find out more information about that by going to ivmf.syracuse.edu. That's a lot, but I'm sure we'll have it in the comments. And if you're out there and you're really curious, you can reach out to Veteran Lifestyle magazine, and I'm sure they'll be more than happy to share. Or you can hit me up on LinkedIn, of course, as well. And it's Ryan Patrick Hunt on LinkedIn. So yeah, that's the basic mission, is to really grow, to unite, and to elevate the veteran community.
I
Did I
wanted
lose?
to.
Did I lose my host?
No.
I feel like I left my host or off stage or something. All right.
Oh my gosh, no, I didn't mean to do that.
That's all right. It was awkward for a few seconds, but that's okay. I can roll. I can roll with it. So
with the
Look,
you know.
this morning already started off crazy, so why not just keep adding to it?
I know.
Oh,
and
I
and
wa-
bring and throw me into the abyss. You're a real chaos agent, and that.
it's-
Right.
look,
This is a Q. I want to remind everyone this was a Q&A, so there are probably a lot of people joining us, and we are so grateful for you guys joining us. Feel free to put your questions to Ryan about the Institute of Veteran and Military Families,
It's
Bunker
the
Lab.
Institute of Veterans and Awesomeness. No, the
There you
Institute for Veterans and Military Families. I'll tell you,
no,
it's a mouthful.
one of
I
the
was,
things I want to
It's actually the D'Angelo Institute for Veterans and Military Families. So
that's a whole
let's
lot.
the whole thing is just like, whoop, it's a novel.
One of the comments I wanted to highlight was what Selena Konmacki has stated, that she loves that IVMF includes military spouses in their
Oh yeah.
ecosystem. So
Didn't you flake out on the VWise, Annette? Weren't you signed up? I threw you under the bus on live.
listen,
But
I didn't
tell us a little bit about it. Let's move this. Let's do reverse
do
podcast interviewing. Why don't you tell us, Annette, a little bit about the VWise program?
due to some unforeseen circumstances, I did not attend that. But I do have a seat at the table to when I am able to go back. But but look, see, people are like, dang, you just called her out.
Oh
But
snap!
I am grateful that they did extend that. They did extend that to military spouses as well, because there are not a lot of well, now there are, but there are a lot of programs for veterans. But now that they're extending out a lot of programs to military spouses too, I am grateful for that. So
Yeah,
um,
they have a ton of programs, that are really, there are programs for veterans, but as mentioned, they have programs for military spouses, and just so many resources. That's really what's just amazing
Yeah.
about the institute. about the Institute for Veterans and Military Families are the resources that can be provided. Joe, you mentioned a track earlier, which I did go through the EBF program at St. Joseph's, which is shout out to Hank down there. He's a great guy. Annette, you met him last year at the Edge, the Veteran Edge in Dallas, and just a fantastic individual. And that's a great program. I highly recommend that program as an entry point. It is an entry point for entrepreneurship. Just so much to be provided, and a lot of people might not realize this, but these programs are free 99. I mean, they're free. They
Yeah.
send you to Philadelphia, for example, or Syracuse University uh, for free, where they're paying for your transportation. You're studying with fellow veterans and military spouses on entrepreneurship, and it's a fantastic program. I can't say enough about it. I went through there and to kind of get away from Institute for Veterans and Military Families. There's there's a lot of great programs out there. Actually, there's so many of them. I just learned about a new one here in Chicago that actually teaches drones, for free for veterans. So
Yeah.
that's another program. But there's actually one in Florida too that I went through last May at the University of Florida, and it's a veteran entrepreneur program as well, and just a fantastic program. I would be amiss if I didn't bring that one up as well. So just a lot of
What
resources
I
and
found, Ryan, and this is what's great about you actually us having you here as the talking about this program. Um, I remember I interviewed a Blake Hogan, who was a former CEO, and he said something, and I think it holds true. He was like, "I'm just bullish on veterans," and I think some of the reason for that was I was even having a conversation with another veteran earlier, and he was talking about how veterans can kind of figure stuff out. We were talking about how some guys get in trouble for being able to solve problems, but they don't really get in trouble, right? It's like that whole exception. There's a rule, except the exception to the rule. And he was talking about one of his officer friends that would literally go door to door to figure it out. Like, we're going to solve this. There's no, and I think veterans have that kind of tenaciousness when it comes to the entrepreneurial track once they kind of get into it, right? Like, and I think a lot of it is not knowing what resources are out there and not knowing that the resources are for them. I think there is this false belief that you have to be a certain type of veteran or you have to be a certain area expertise to qualify for resources and opportunities that are for them. And
yeah,
that's what I love about amplifying stuff like this. So,
yeah. I don't think it is an entrepreneur, and I saw a comment I saw a comment down below. Um, it, you're right, and especially if you put in the perspective of being an entrepreneur, a bootstrap entrepreneur together means a person that's not only failing forward quite a bit, as you're learning this thing, as you're going through this journey of entrepreneurship, but you're also trying to leverage as much stuff, as much swag and free 99 as you can against the problem, the problem sets, the challenges that you're going to face ultimately. It's just like the shirt says, arm yourself for success, right? I don't know if you could see that, but arm yourself for success. And it's an appropriate shirt to be wearing randomly on this day. You just told me about this interview uh, less than an hour ago. So I'm glad I wore this shirt because it just makes sense. It's really the theme of what uh, entrepreneurship and veteranpreneurship is all about. And Rue asks, what is the biggest benefit of going through the program? If you're specifically talking about the EBF program, the benefits, there are a lot of benefits. It's to me, it's an entryway to get into the Institute for Veterans and Military Families. And with that, the biggest benefit is the network. actually. The network is really the biggest value. And as you're going through any of these programs where they bring awesome veterans together or awesome military spouses together, the biggest thing that you can do is to really go out there, even if you have to get out of your comfort zone, and to really build out your networks and to build those relationships and possible collaborations and synergies that are going to hopefully exist in the future for you. I know Annette and Joe are probably sick of hearing me say synergy and collaboration. They would be millionaires if they got paid a penny every time. But actually, I think we all have that same mindset, which is why we're all friends too. So that,
Well,
and I did see one other thing, which was John asked. Bunker Labs participation has been very competitive. There will be more. There's going to be a ton of, there right now, but Bunker Labs at its core hasn't changed. There's still the veterans in residency, although it looks differently. It's just another program under under their belt, and the Bunker Labs ambassador opportunity is definitely. I'm already looking for my replacement, which I'm not going to be an ambassador next year, so we've got about 365 for less than that days left. So, I think it's definitely a good time if you want to volunteer. I think that's more of value than anything else. I think that makes you competitive, being wanting to be a volunteer, John.
absolutely.
I want to know, I know we've talked about this before, but with the amount of synergy that you have, how do you make time to do everything that you do? Because you do a lot. You volunteer a lot, but you're involved with a lot of these programs that you're obviously passionate about because you wouldn't talk about it unless you truly believed in it. So how do you make the time to do all of these things and have 15 calls with us each day?
That's a great question. Maybe I'm I'll save that comment. Uh, I think the biggest thing is you have to fall back on military training. Going up not only on the enlisted and NCO side, but being an Army officer, just any military. I just want to generically put that out. I don't want to make it about officers, unless it's not. Uh, but during the experiences that I had in the military were so diverse, and I had to at some point manage so many different things, and I had so much responsibility that transitioning to my retirement, gig as an entrepreneur, is the founder of 10th Mountain LLC. I definitely just have that in me to be able to multitask and to set priorities and to strategically plan out everything I do. It may seem a little chaotic at times, but it's all
Yeah.
planned out and very deliberate over a span of 1 to 3 years. And even as something as simple as being on a podcast is a deliberate action to me. um, but having said that, I have great people surrounding me. And actually, I wouldn't be able, in my military career, there is no way in heck I would even be sitting here right now if it wasn't for all the people that have been in my military career. And I wouldn't have been a successful company commander. You can see the guide on behind me over here. Those 203 soldiers are the ones that actually, took command y- and took the guide on and accomplished the mission. Not me, really. I was just there. I was the face, and just throughout my military career, just it's everyone. And same thing with 10th Mountain LLC and all the various other projects. I mean, without an Annette Wittenberger, without a Joe Palacio, there would be no Veteran Lifestyle magazine. We know this because we started Veteran Lifestyle magazine a year ago and had a little bit bigger team. And we know that without synergy, without cooperation, that these things just aren't going to happen. I have some great assistants that are in the background. I use VAs. They're very, so if someone has any questions about that, they're always welcome to hit me up. VAs are definitely an important part of my formation. And then I also am a huge advocate, and I wonder if that was trying to get me to go here with this, but I'm a huge advocate of AI. Very huge advocate. In fact, I'll be dropping a little AI book on Amazon in March, AI, and integrating that in with recruiting to help fight the war for talent. But those are the things that help me. And of course, trying to find as much as I can, trying to find balance in my life, having good people around me, having loved ones, the whole thing that we should all try to have. But it's chaos all at the same time. So I'll end with that. It's chaos for sure. But as Anna says, it's the team behind you that really does make it or break it. And it's true. I mean, without you all, this just wouldn't be happening. And actually, even when I'm having an unmotivated day or I'm feeling frustrated, it's good to see good little good little faces on FaceTime or Teams or Zoom or wherever we're communicating. And I know, and that she was in her hair rollers and she had her little mud mask on one time and she really didn't want to talk, but she did. I'm just kidding, Annette.
I I want to one
That
of the
was
things
Joe.
as you were thanks, right, as you were saying that I just thought about like it is relationships, and there's like a common theme that's been going on lately with relationships and networking. You mentioned network, like, but what we learn, I think, in the military, and I think this is what makes veterans a little bit unique. I would say unique, not better or whatever, but unique uh, in a way that they network and in the way that they grow and expand those networks. Is that we have levels of trust in our networks, um, right? Like, I mean, there's those guys that you want on your fire team, right? And I'm not saying that this is a bad thing about anybody, because it's not. It's what it is learning to leverage the resources at your disposal, the resources and support. And I go back to like thinking of in military terms, because I think sometimes we forget the value of thinking in that way. It's like recognizing when you have to go to the S3 for something, or when you have to go to supply, right? And you go to supply, and there's a guy there in supply that you trust that will get you the gear you need. Now, is that the guy that you want on your fire team in a firefight? Maybe not, but it's the guy that you trust to get you the supply you need. And it's learning how to find those people and those leverage and those resources and those network of friends and fostering those into relationships. I think someone said earlier, actually, I think it was just near the end of the year, I heard they were talking about making business associates, and in my head I was just thinking, well, right off the bat you're thinking wrong. Like we should be looking for, who do I want a business relationship with? Who do I trust to grow something bigger than myself, right? And to do it in a way that's collaborative, that isn't about stepping on someone else to advance. Because I think at this day and age, that type of business mentality is going to go to the age of the dinosaurs, because consumers are changing. Consumers are wanting to know, yeah, I understand a profit first mentality, but what are you doing with all those profits? What do you support? Who do you take care of as far as internally on your team? How do you grow? All that stuff is important. So I love the idea of how these veterans are really connecting, because I think we kind of have that unique perspective on when we collaborate and when we kind of network, right? Like, because there's this innate trust in the veteran that, yeah, we're not all great, but we understand a bigger picture. We understand a greater good. You know what I mean? Like, even the selfish ones understood that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, even those guys there in when the shit hit the fan, they're gonna cover your six.
Yeah, I think the networking piece is definitely, it's definitely important. And there is definitely a little bit of a nuance as you enter into the military veteran community. But there again, I still have to put a warning label on it. There are veterans, not to be negative and dark, but there are veterans that will eat veterans. I think it's more just about getting down to the core of who you are as a human being, and do you have that spirit in you, that heart? To Are you just a good person overall that wants to get back? And to be fair, everyone is first off the movie star of their own movie. The Ryan Hunt production, the main guy, the the superhero of his own story. So everyone has that, and everyone has their own, issues and struggles, challenges that are going on. So we never know, too, when people don't want to collaborate. And it could also go. I was having a really great conversation with someone yesterday, and he was talking about, uh, I don't want to take it out of context, but I want to put it into context of this. But so I won't mention his name, just because I don't want it to completely take him out of context. But um, he basically, as we were talking, we started talking about business. And one thing is he doesn't like to just jump on sponsoring things. And I wasn't going there for a sales call, just to caveat that. But he started bringing that up, and I go, well, I think a lot of that has to do with profit and losses. Money really is a motivating factor. If you have the money, you have the resources, and it nests in with whatever your vision happens to be for your business, then it makes sense and you'll jump on the opportunity. If your business potentially is struggling, or you just don't have, if the sponsorship or whatever it happens to be takes the cheese out of the macaroni, then it's pretty evident that you're probably not going to sponsor something, or do an advertisement, an ad buy, for example, on Veteran Lifestyle magazine, or whatever. Maybe you're not ready to receive, and you're not ready to give as well. But networking in the veteran space is important.
Thank
We
you.
lost it at
I know
she's
we
on
kind
mute.
of went on a tangent,
We muted
I was
Annette.
getting I was getting
She was
more
gonna.
about how
You
the
lost your chance,
opportunity.
Annette. You lost
I know. I'm
your
sorry,
chance in the pecking order.
Look,
This
I
is
am
why
sorry. And
Joe
again,
Joe is
no,
a
again,
tough. He's a
steal
tough
what
interviewer.
to steal Blake Hogan's his tagline on the podcast that the Veterans Club podcast where we interviewed him, to steal it. I'm just bullish on veterans, and I was really bullish on that organization because I actually visualized how it initially, for the biggest value in participating in the veteran residency was the relationship built with other cohorts. And then I really wish there had been, obviously, like everyone, the pandemic. I wished it hadn't happened, because I think there's still opportunities now as these cohorts are now getting more flexible. As really, I think we're moving away from that pandemic idea of isolation, because I think we were still kind of everybody is still kind of stuck in this and when I always say that everybody, I'm usually talking about myself, stuck in that isolationist thing, and but really need to really expand again and get out and really network with other. I want to say, I don't want to say like-minded, because I think that doesn't work either, right? There's a common good, because in the military, again, I go back to our military roots, right? Not everybody in there was like-minded. We all were common goals, and the goals were not our own. They were greater than ourselves. We were a part of a bigger mission. So not being like-minded actually, I think, made us more efficient, because everybody had kind of a way to make things work better. I don't know if that makes any sense. And I think
Well,
the
it
same
does.
thing with an institute like this, the opportunities for that
Yeah.
continued growth is amazing. So thank you.
Well, with it, if you've read the book Rocket Fuel, they they actually speak to what you're saying in a more in a little bit higher level, which is, in an organization, there's visionaries and integrators. So this is the same thing. You can't have a bunch of in the military or in the army, you can't have a bunch of private. Well, actually, I think you probably could over time, but you can't have a bunch of privates leading the mission, and you got to have a mix in there of some privates, some PFCs, some specialists, maybe a lieutenant mixed in the thing. I said that I was reluctant to say that because in the army there's a philosophy
Uh-oh.
would say privates could lead the company if they needed to. But just to use that as an example, you want to have a mix of people, a mix of personalities. You can't have all alphas. You got to have some betas, maybe have a sigma thrown in there as well. So, to your point.
Oh, absolutely.
And what is this? It's Rue said, I'm going to be devil's advocate here. Veterans in the construction space fall into one of two categories and no variation either. Awesome or shitty, LOL. I have to stop just hiring. Uh, and that's a thing. And actually, it's funny because is we're talking. One of my primary business is 10th Mountain Recruiting, and one of my soldiers that was my gunner and part of my PSD when I was a combat patrol leader in southern Iraq in 05, 06. He came to me right before Christmas, and he goes, "Hey Ryan, I'm looking for a lead carpenter. I'd never we don't usually recruit for lead carpenters, but we took it on, and we have one of our clients last year was a national construction company, so it wasn't our wheelhouse, and so we started our recruiting, and there was one recruiter in particular. He was a little nervous, and he was just overthinking it because he is mostly recruiting for tech roles, and I'm like, listen, you got to realize something. And no offense, I'm not trying to generalize, but Rue did it, and Rue's in the space. I'm like, there's a lot of flakes. You're going to have to kiss a lot of frogs to find good people, and you're going to have to do a lot of hand holding to get people, even if they're looking for jobs. You're going to have to hold their hand to get them through through the door and help them. And I've been getting some messages. Actually, we had 3 candidates going through for this job opportunity, and at least from what I can tell in the text, one of them flaked out on it, and I'm not surprised. I'm kind of laughing here as I'm reading it, and they're all in a panic. I'm like, it's not panic at the disco, my friends. So you're right, and also when you go in another thing is with what Rue was saying, hiring, and we're switching gears now from Bunker Labs and veteran resources, but it's a good segue here because he asked this. And veterans, you want to be able to find meaningful employment for veterans, and especially as a recruiting firm, that's something that we want to do, and we've done that successfully. We have a really great example of that, which is Dara Laura, uh, who came to me. She actually got laid off on a Friday, and we were successful enough to get her working within about 7 days, 7 working days. And it was just amazing. She took a lower position, which is something I would give advice to some veterans out there and some military transitioners. Sometimes you take a little bit of a lower role, or what you think might be a lower role, and then you get in there and you prove yourself. And Dara actually got into this job with this opportunity, I should say, and within 90 days she got promoted to director of talent acquisitions. And that had nothing to do with Ryan, that had all to do with her, but I knew she had the capability, and I was glad that she was open-minded and receptive to going in there and just making the magic happen. And that's something I would tell, let's bring this back to military transition and resources. Be open-minded to receiving, be open-minded to trying new things, even if it's out of your comfort zone. To be honest with you, I do not like networking. I know that might sound ridiculous, but I don't. And I don't like going into a space where I know absolutely nobody. It's just not my bag, but I do it because I understand what the importance is, and you want to
Yeah.
get yourself into, you want to get yourself outside of your comfort zone. So yeah, that's important. I kind of lost my thought there, but uh, that's awesome. Oh, and I would say this too in terms of comfort zones, and the EBF will tie it back. I'll tell this story real quick. In 2000, while I was on active duty still, I started my first company, which is Mountain Up Cap Company, and with the Pando Commando. And I have to do this just because I would be failing everyone if I didn't show you the Pando Commando and what he does. But I knew Annette would love this, right? So I had to do it. I felt that there was a logical time for I would do it. But anyways, if you know, you know. If you don't worry about it, or go to pandocommando.com and you'll figure it out pretty quick. But in 2015ish, I started my first company accidentally on a TDY trip, making some playing around with my phone, and I created the sticker. Blah 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 blah. I ended up selling it, and I sold 5,000 stickers like overnight at $5 a piece. I took that money, I just kept on rolling it into inventory. Next thing I knew, I had an e-commerce site that made $600,000 in 2016. And it, anyways, as I'm crossing the desert, I'm on my first podcast with a great guy named Bennett Tatum. And if you don't know him, you definitely want to reach out to this guy. He's just so smart. And he told me back then, he's like, Ryan, you have got to go to the ABF program through the Institute, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, no, I'm too awesome for that. And quite frankly, when I went just 2 years ago, it's been about 2 years ago, like after 8 years of being an entrepreneur, I was like, the first thing I did after I graduated, I called him, and I'm like, you know what, dude, your advice that you gave me like 8 years ago, I was not ready to receive, and I was so close-minded,
Yeah.
but I was wrong. And he didn't really remember the conversation, but he did follow up with, well, what was the biggest thing that you gained? Which is what Rue asked. And I'm like, network. And he's like, yeah, that's what it's about. It's about building those friendships. It's about the collaborations. It's about the
I'm gonna
network.
jump in that again because it's relevant in my mind.
We
And
haven't heard of that
they
yet,
already
though.
look. They know how I do. I do this. Full transparency. If we ever have like if we're talking about magazine stuff together, Ryan even said it. He's like, "You are so shiny object," and he was saying that, and outside my window, I was like, "Oh, look, there's a squirrel." It was hilarious.
It's
Anyway,
like a wild
I'm gonna
Mustang.
be focused.
And that he's like a wild Mustang. You can't like,
I wanted to be
you know,
focused, and
you gotta
here's the
throw you
yeah.
gotta throw a saddle on that dude.
I know. So I wanted to be focused here because you touched on a couple of things that you rarely touch on because I mean a lot of times we're talking about a different project or there's things that are going on. So, but you touched on how somebody offered you an opportunity that probably was some kind of help. I actually ask a lot of my veteran friends like when
Yeah, but
I
sometimes,
usually,
Joe,
I
you
usually
don't
no
listen.
because I fall under the same category, and
In
I
all
wonder if
fairness,
this is if it's a veteran trait, like a veteran in business trait. Like there are like people go, oh man, I want to help
it's
you
a
with this.
human thing. It's a human thing because you have ownership. You create this business, this idea is your idea, and you want to hold on to it. You want to keep that ownership of it. In the back of your mind, I think a lot of people actually view like a business or let's say a military award. Some of these things are in our mind are and if we keep it to ourselves, it's about legacy, but you still have the legacy even if you collaborate and you synergize with people. But at the end of the day, a lot of people are reluctant to share because they think they're going to they might get their ideas stolen or whatnot. Let me let you in on a little secret. Okay, except for the advancement of AI, but in general, okay, this is a general statement, the idea has already been thought of. There's already the widget that you more than likely the widget that you're thinking about making is already exists in some form or shape.
No, no, I see.
So
I think you misunderstood my my question and what I caught.
Maybe
You had
I took it somewhere else, anyways.
You had someone that was offering a route, a suggestion that would have improved your own and it had nothing to do with them. Like they were saying, hey, you should try this organization. They're going to do that. I don't know how many times I have friends, hey man, you should check this out. Or hey, this thing will really be helpful for you. Like you might be able to do that. And then I a lot of times I won't take the help.
I just told you why you're doing that, Joe. It's because
but it's not just what I'm saying is I'm learning.
It might also be
recognizing
imposter.
this in veterans.
Do you also
what I'm saying?
Do you also feel like there's
this.
imposter syndrome?
Well, I mean, at the same time, though,
you're wrestling with a panda, man.
Well, no, but at the same time, everyone's
you're wrestling with a couple of pandas over here.
Story,
you see.
Anyway, I think this is.
I'm messing with you. But I do think that you are reluctant sometimes to receive some feedback and advice, and and we all are at different times.
Hey, you want to hear how reluctant I am? Look what I did. All right, that's enough.
Yep. Oh no! See, there you go. You got to arm yourself for success, Joe. You got to arm yourself for success. And you got to open up. You got to be ready. You got to be like a flower. You got to be like a flower and open up and blossom and be ready to receive. You have a great. It's more than an idea. A great business, Maxwell Soap. I know sometimes well, I'll just say this: you have there's a great concept there and a great opportunity. So I would love to see you, fulfilling that. So, anyways, Annette, I'm not the host, but Annette, what do you think about all this?
Well, it's different for me because we've been friends for a long time, and then we decided to start this new venture, and there are times where I can relate to Joe when it comes to getting feedback. I think we're just for me, I get protective sometimes, or I get a little afraid, or I'm hesitant, and so we're kind of like we put this wall up because we're like, well, we're so used to doing, or I'm so used to doing things a certain way that when someone comes in and wants to change it, I'm like, well, it's been working like this for a while.
Did you say put up a wall?
Yes, I said put up a wall. Yes.
This is one of my used to be in my bathroom. It was a bathroom read. The Wall Between Two Lives: A True Story of Finding Purpose by Annette Wittenberger. You can find this on Amazon and at tactical16.com. Let me read it. Can I read a little bit from this?
No.
You hate when I do this.
This isn't about me. We don't need to read an excerpt from my book.
Final destination, Iraq. We had arrived. After the flight and a very long bus ride, we arrived at the place where we would call home for the next 12 months. That's powerful. Thank
you. You can hear me. You can hear me narrated on Audible, but no, Okay. I think there's a lot of valuable information that was provided today, but I was going to actually ask you about this. What kind of advice would you tell people when it comes to networking? Because you say you don't like it. I don't like it either. I've had this discussion with Selena and Anna before. Sometimes I just rather not go because I don't like to be around people. And it has nothing to do with them. It has everything to do with me. I think it's overwhelming to put yourself out there. I do not talk about myself. I don't like talking about myself. So I have my cheerleaders, Anna and Selena, are like, no, this is what she does. This is, she doesn't do just this. But I know I'm all over the place, but I want to go back to what Anna had said earlier today was how she had spoke about there's a level of trust when a male spouse recommends someone or something to me. So I have, that's a big deal to me to be recommended. If I'm recommended to someone else, I'm like, oh my gosh, me? What did I do? I'm just me. I don't, but that goes with the networking and the conversations we have with people, and you build that trust and you build that friendship and you build all these things. And that's a big deal. And I think in our community is when we are recommended to somebody, or when someone talks about you and you're like, wait, why you, I don't, I'm just a person. So, and then you have to go, but going to network, that's such a huge ordeal. And so you have to put yourself out there in a room full of strangers. But I can say that after I do attend the event, I walk out of there like, man, I'm glad I came. I'm glad I came to this thing, because if I didn't, I wouldn't have met this person. And I know, I always say Anna Selena because they're my people here in Killeen, Texas. But they make fun of me because they say that I know everybody, and I really don't think that I do. But I know a lot of people, just like I know Joe does, and I know Ryan does. We don't think we know a lot of people, but we are, because of everything that we do. We do kind of know a lot of people. But my passion is just like with Joe, what he said earlier. My passion is to connect you with somebody. If I know somebody, I'm like, oh my gosh, you need to meet this person, or let me. I don't know all the answers, so let me connect you with this person so you can get the answers. And I think that's my driving force
That's
behind
huge.
going to a networking event. And that's why I was a mentor with Veterati. I didn't think I had shit to offer with Veterati, but 5 years into Veterati mentorship, I love helping people. It's just like, I don't know. So I can, and I think that's one of the things that makes us work together, is because that's how both of you are. You love connecting people. Ryan loves being an ambassador because he believes in the mission and he loves being able to help people. So that's my 2 cents. I've been waiting on to talk for like 50 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm just
Wow.
kidding. I'm just
Uh,
kidding.
I think, and I think you were kind of starting to ask about networkings, and I don't think I'm a guru at that, but I think for people that are transitioning out of the military, or they're trying to build their career presence. I think LinkedIn is really an amazing tool,
Yeah.
and I think that your network can start there. It could start as a social, as a social network. And then one thing that really last year was, in maybe a little bit into 2023, is my network on is my digital footprint and network are growing. Going to those live events, it was also just an amazing experience, and actually getting it off the phone, getting off the computer, and then actually being able to be in the same room, in the same spaces, Annette and Selena and Anna. And I'm thinking I want to say something, but I won't, about our gathering, the Veteran Lifestyle Magazine gathering. She's like, turn on, get him off stage, and I'm not going to, but it was a lot of fun, and that's important too. Is just being able to have a bunch of awesome people together to just whether you're drinking soda or having a beer, to have that friendship, to build that friendship. And I'll tell you, at the Military Influencer Conference 24, being able to have that get together that we had, and I know Selena and Anna were there. That was really awesome. I mean, it was a special thing. I didn't know Selena and Anna, but I left there thinking, oh, these are my people, man. I'm part of the family now. So uh, those are it's good to be able to do that. And also it's a little easier to read people when you're in front of them. You can really determine, is this person, for me, I not to sound like, what was that fortune teller in California, Cleo, the one that got sued. But anyways, not that I'm a big fortune teller or energy reader, but I can read energy a lot better when I'm face to face with someone and really understand who they are. Are these really good people, or not? You know, so it makes it a little easier. when you're in the same space as those people. Um, yeah, so glad I have the only photo actually, and I'm
No,
the only one that has the video. So I'll be posting that video later on my Facebook
Just
he's a
put
and
that in that
TikTok
Opus. Put
account.
that in that Opus clips.
I
we
know
have an
exactly.
open clips. We're
Opus
gonna start
clips
That'd be
sharing that.
hilarious. That'd be
makes sense.
hilarious. That would be hilarious.
Makes
I think that would go viral on TikTok.
We would go
Joe,
viral
if
on.
you knew what was going on, you would understand. It's just funny, actually. Just funny.
I was gonna touch on the networking thing too. I think when I was, I don't feel like I try to network now. Like I don't purposely go out and I'm gonna go meet people for a specific reason. I think what I like to do is I like to go be curious at places, and I know that sounds hokey, but I think
Yeah.
way being curious is like, oh, what is this place about? What are these? Um, and I found that always helped me kind of like learn about new people, new things, new communities, new organizations, just going and like, oh, what is this about? And um, I'm pretty sure it's just because it's like a personal journey of mine to like learn more outside of whatever I already know. Does that make any sense to anybody? If it
It,
does,
but you do network in a different way. You engage with our community like no other. I've always seen you out there cheering people on, and you are a positive light. I know for me you are. You're constantly sending me something uplifting.
You
You
are a
are
bright ray of
you're
light.
you're a shining star. No, so, no,
Oh,
but no, seriously though, but you network in a different way. Networking doesn't always have to mean being in a conference full of people you don't know. Network also means that you are
yeah.
out there on social media, engaging, commenting. You're also connecting. If I ask you for something, you're like, you know what? I think I know a guy, and you'll try to. I always say that too. I think I know. You'll make the effort to
which
connect.
is which is crazy because let's go back to a thing we were talking about earlier, where when someone wants to help us, and this is another I know veteran centric thing. Someone wants to help us. We're always like, oh, it's okay, I got. But if there's somebody with an issue or a problem, or do you think you might have someone that can help? You're always like, oh, I know who can help. I can, and
Yes.
you do. It's such a weird dichotomy that I go through. It's pretty funny.
I do the same thing. I do the same thing. And but I think yeah, so you could say you don't really you don't like the networking, but you're doing it in your own way. Huge in a huge way. You make such a huge impact.
So
So
so so I want to share something to Ryan and Justin. I think it was like circa 2019. There was this really cool drop in audio app. That was only for like the entertainment creator kind of industry,
Clubhouse.
right?
Yeah.
Clubhouse. They literally said, "Hey, we have a thing, but you really kind of go down rabbit holes.
We actually,
We're
Joe,
not sure." They literally were like, I don't think we, and I was like, oh no, I totally want to try it. I won't get lost. He totally like, so they gave it to me. And then I think Ryan and Justin said I literally disappeared for like 6 months.
you did.
Like
You did
I was
disappear.
like
And we
barely
had to
anywhere.
talk. We had Justin and we and I were talking for almost 20 minutes. We're like, okay, should we give at that time people were selling. People were offering me money for Clubhouse invites. It was so ridiculous. And I was like, if we give Joe this thing, this guy is going to disappear. And you
So
did. You
I
disappeared for
did.
like 6 months.
So check this out though. I got in there. I want to share this with you because there's it. It's like a.
Is it still
It was
around?
honoring what I started to do. I think at that time I was honoring the path that I was supposed to take. Right. I was like, I'm supposed to be doing this, and I'm just going to do it. Like I realized like I kept trying to change. Like what am I supposed? But I got in there, and I want to share this because it's crazy. I've met a lot of really cool people that I thought, man, these are really cool people. They in all kinds of different like areas of things. And there was I met one guy, and he's a friend of mine on Instagram. I don't know if he wants me to share his name, so I won't. But we used to share a room, literally, and set intentions for the day. It was actually really cool. We did almost 200 and something days straight, where a bunch of people who we didn't know jumped in. They talked about what they wanted to do for the day, how they wanted to feel at the end of the night, and then we just went about and did our day. Some people would stay and they would do a guided meditation, depending on if you had time. If not, everybody just left. But I remember I started to do that, and I started to go into these different places. And at the time, I was still really, I would still kind of come on the Vet Tribe and the Warrior Council and some other veteran centric communities that I kind of was hang around in, but I wasn't really active. But I recognized the thing, and this is funny because I told this guy one time, because he had shared this this thing that where he was like, man, it's like I have this dream where there's a time where we can kind of be a cool community again, right? Different people are okay. It doesn't matter what you believe in, but everybody can just vibe together, right? We all want to do that anyway. We all want to kind of be successful. We all want our families to grow. It's like, and I think the trick is recognizing that my family's success and wealth isn't dependent on somebody else's failure and suffering. But what was funny was like I actually had kind of this idea that, and I shared it with them, and it was funny because I said, man, I get that, and I have kind of like this similar idea, this similar dream where it's a bunch of veterans and we're all geared up, and there's this big door. It's like this huge door, and it's like and I'm looking, and it's just veterans that I've networked with, I've connected with, and I'm like, and we're geared up. It's like, look like we're ready for war, right? And it's crazy because we kick this door in, and when we all go in, all of a sudden we're all in the communities again, and we are literally vibing with everybody. We are connecting, we are empowering our communities, because again, I think not that we are better or anything, but we just have a different perspective on community and higher mission and purpose, right? Like, and I think we've isolated ourselves for so long, but right now it's happening, right? Like Bunker Labs and IVMF got together. There's so much more collaborative veteran organizations working for this idea to like grow, but to grow in a way that supports the community, which I think is just absolutely amazing. And it's funny because like we're talking about networking and building relationships, and that's happening, right? Because like I think when you build a good relationship in your network, and you know who your S shops are, you know these people in your life that are your supply guy, that are this, right? But that are still there, that will support a better mission. And I think that's coming to surpass. And I've been saying that for a while to Ryan. I was like, man, there's this crazy synergy of organizations that I've seen in different places are now like coming together, like they're connecting and they're finding ways to work. And I think that's because, again, once veterans have started to recognize we need to participate more, and we need to, I think we've gotten past our bitch session. Does that make sense? Like we've been hard road for 20 plus years. You know what I mean? Like veterans have been ridden hard for the past 20 years, and we were a little bitter, rightly so.
I want to add to what you're saying, and also just to this whole podcast we were going through, and I was thinking about it, and even with the Veteran Social Summit, I was thinking about this too. The term veteran, it's important, and I respect what a veteran is, but I think also we have to start redefining what the term veteran means, because it includes our military spouses and our dependents too.
Yeah.
So I think even as we've been saying, we've been using the word veteran, it almost just it's really just a simplification of the whole veteran community as a whole, including those military spouses.
Absolutely.
So just wanted to throw that out there. That's as I go forward, I'm deliberately going to define what I mean by veteran to include all these other people that support, that are Sherpas of,
Mhm.
the service member. So
What, you
I
know what?
will,
Also, Ryan, can I caveat on that too? I wanted to add
if
because
we
I
have
know you
time.
feel the same way. If we have
I'm
time,
like a
yes.
podcast.
But
Am I the
but
host?
also when we start to define that veteran, it is that it's that community, but
Knock knock.
also
If you have
it
time.
also it there comes responsibility with taking on that moniker. Like it, and I know say and I think a lot of guys that actually really use that embrace that, right? They embrace it. Yeah, I'm a veteran, and if I'm going to be a veteran-owned business or a veteran-owned company, then I'm going to conduct myself in that manner, right? I'm going to look out for the stakeholders equally to the shareholders. But
It just it just popped into my mind, not just popping of confetti, is Rosie Network, one of their first magazines, maybe it was their first magazine that they had back in, I think it was 2015 or 16. They approached Mountain Up, and it wasn't because they wanted Ryan's awesome story. They wanted my former spouse's side of the story, and how she was the basically the co-founder of Mountain Up. So she didn't even want to care about me. But that just feeds into what we're talking about here. It really does. It takes, as they say, it's very generic, but it takes a village. But it does take Sherpas to get to the top of Everest, right? I have to do some mountain references only because my company's 10th mountain, and I am a 10th mountain veteran, combat veteran, and so that's I guess I have to continue to do that. I mean, that's what we do. But I do want to say one thing, and I know we're running low on time, Annette and Joe, is the vet. So Institute for Veterans Military Families, go check it out if you're in the veteran community. And we know what the definition of veteran is now. Our new definition is we leave this our um, contract that we're making with each other is where is we're leaving here. But go check it out. They have so many resources for the veteran community, and don't be afraid to share those resources out with other people. Definitely do it. The more people that are using not only the Institute for Veteran and Military Family resources, but any of the resources for veterans as a whole, and it is so important. There's so many people that don't know that these resources exist out there, whatever they happen to be. Also, on 19 through the 21st, or can I just say March 19 through the 21st? Okay, we're civilians here now, right? Uh, so March 19th through the 21st is the Veteran Edge Conference. And if you know a little bit about that, you can again find it out through the IVMF website. But it's a great conference. They have this big gala at the end. It is by you do have to apply to it. But I think I'm not going to speak for the conference, but it's a great conference. And at the end, there's a huge gala, much like at the Military Influencer Conference, if you've been to that as well. And they honor the Veteran 100, which are part of the Inc. 5,000, I think. But
yeah,
it's pretty cool. I'm not part of the Vet 100. Probably will be. I probably won't be part of the Vet 100,000. So, but uh, but it's awesome to see the success and the growth of so many veterans that are doing amazing things and really following in the footsteps of great veterans, such as the founder of Walmart, such as the founder of REI, the founder of Nike. Think of all the ski resorts in Vail, in Colorado, and Vermont as a whole. Those are all veteran started companies, veteran owned companies. So it's just amazing to be able to see it in real life. We talk about real life now and face to face. Now we're face to face with awesome people just doing amazing things and really continuing to grow, unite, and elevate the veteran community. So if you need any out there, you just saw this and you want some advice, you've got Annette, you've got Joe, and I'm definitely here in Chicago. I do have, I'll put this out there. It's not part of the ambassador program, but I consider it part of what I'm doing now. Because I've only been a Bunker Labs ambassador for about 13 hours now, But here in Chicago, I have an office. In bigger part of it is a shared space as well, with kitchen and conference rooms. And if you're here locally in Chicago, or you're visiting and you just want a space to work out of, and you want to hear me yap away at you for a couple hours, come on down. Where I'm right here in beautiful Logan Square. I can pretty much walk out. We can be downtown in 10, 12 minutes. You could be over at any of the airports. There's actually an a subway you can take to both of the airports as well. So that's my offer. I'll throw it out there. You're always welcome here. This can be your home away from home, if you're here in Chicago. You could probably set up a cot too, if you if you're
We have a
really
kitchen, right?
bootstrapping. If you're really bootstrapping, yeah. There's no shower, but there is a Planet Fitness down the road. So I'm
Hey, would
kidding,
you,
but
by any chance, I know we're over time, but since you brought that space up, by any chance, do you know if the IVMF Bunker Labs thing are considering some type of shared workspace again, or they have? Are you?
I don't.
I know you've only been there 13 hours, but
From what I understand, I don't think so. But again, one of my projects will really be to be pushing this space,
yeah,
and giving those resources. As long as I'm here in this space, and I'm profitable, or at least making
yeah,
breaking even, we'll make sure that there's space for veterans here in Chicago at the very least. And if there's Chicago people that are going through the veterans in residency, and they want to come here and be entrepreneurs, and be entrepreneurish, they can come here. One of my ideas is to create a vet lab, actually in this space. There, I keep on looking over this way, because there's actually an empty office across the way with 4 desks. I would love to be able to fund that, and
yeah,
and be able to put deserving veterans in there so they can incubate their ideas, over. And plus, we're in a hub zone too, an SBA
yeah.
hub zone. So that's another beautiful perk of working out of this office, for if you're in that space and can leverage those opportunities. So, anyways, thank you very, very much. Again, read my book, The Wall Between Two Lives. I'm just kidding. That's not my book, but it's Annette Wittenberger's book. But thank you for bringing me on so last minute, and letting me hijack some of your time. I think at the core, our message is really important in getting, and really it's an ambassador of giving the resources, getting the resources out there. Now I'm the one pulling a Joe Palacio, and I'm just messing with you, Joe. I can't do this on a normal podcast. You can't really be like throwing down the mic on people.
I
you know
know.
like Selena and Anna, they're gonna have like I'm going on their podcast next week, so definitely tune in.
Oh, right on.
Social media world, but it's going to be a lot different. I'm going to be a docile, shy little animal, because I know you two. So it's like, oh, I do this every day, so I can I'm dropping the dimes and whatnot. It's going to be a little bit different, but maybe we'll see. We'll talk about alligators and whatnot, and adventures in Atlanta.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, thank you all for being here today.
Oh my goodness.
So
I
last minute, because things happen in real life and we had
Yeah.
to adjust. So,
Well, what's funny is normally we wanted to plan out kind of like, hey, when can we get Ryan on? And then we just to cancel. So that
Yeah.
I want to thank you for your flexibility on that. I know it seems like we were like, oh, we got to get him on, but then initially we were going to do something tomorrow for the regular time, and then we had a guest, and then they canceled. So
the universe said, you know what? Let's just figure out.
Let's do it.
We're so used to last minute changes in our life, and we just adapt and overcome. So,
Yep.
but
You got to
thank
be
you.
flexible. It's one
You
of the
have to
Army
be.
tenets.
Always, always. But thank you guys for watching and for listening when I get this on Spotify. And until next time, otherwise, here we are. This is the team behind
Thank you.
all the things that we do. So thank you guys so much, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Start climbing higher. Let's do it.